Five of Swords. When the Five of Swords appears, you are likely to find yourself with some mixed feelings about life in general and about a few people in particular. Don't ignore these, but don't feel like you have to speak every word you're thinking and feeling either, as you could ruin the very things that you want the most, such as close, intimate relationships with your friends and lover. Think several times before you really let someone have it, even if they deserve it. Pick your battles. In general, the Five of Swords can indicate that someone you care about may be away for a while. Don't get too possessive if that's the case. Assume that they will be coming back to you. The Five can indicate conflicts, both external and internal. Don't escalate conflicts unnecessarily. Think before you act. Work. In the context of work, the Five can show that you may be your own worst enemy. Don't expect the entire system to be changed just because you believe it should be different. How you speak your mind is as important as what you say. There may be some unfairness at play in your work world. Be sure that your behavior is impeccable. Love. Unfortunately, when the Five of Swords appears in the context of love, conflict is a near surety. Things may not work out as you would hope with a love relationship. Think calmly and carefully about what your deal breakers are in a relationship. Be honest with yourself first, then be honest with your beloved. Accept reality. Finances. There is a need for caution and restraint in relation to money when this card appears. Draw on your ingenuity when necessary, when it comes to money. Are there things you don't need that you can sell? Can you cut expenses any further? Above all, don't give up. Don't be too proud to ask for help if you need it. Help is always available. Health. You're likely to be under stress from a combination of factors, so it's particularly important when this card appears to be gentle with yourself. If you're angry, allow yourself to express it, safely and carefully, rather than turning your anger and sorrow on yourself. Rest and relaxation is crucial. Worry and guilt are useless. Let them go. Spirituality. Even if you have suddenly found the spiritual answers that you've been looking for your whole life, remember that they are your answers and not everyone else's. You don't need to convert anyone else to your way of thinking. The Five of Swords can also indicate a sudden break from spirituality that no longer works for you. Give yourself time and space to find new answers, if that's the case. Tarot history. The history of the tarot is shrouded in mystery. Very little in the way of concrete information is known about its origin, although many things have been written about it. We will probably never know the truth, as fact and fiction seem to be irrevocably mixed nowadays. The tarot originated in northern Italy in the early 15th century, sometime between 1420 to 1440. Despite the fact that it is often attributed to originating from China, Egypt, India, or Morocco, to name just a few, there is absolutely no evidence that this is the case. Nor, as is often quoted, is there any evidence whatsoever that the tarot was brought to Europe by the Romanis. The name tarot is often attributed to being Egyptian, Hebrew, or Latin. This is not the case. The earliest names are all Italian in origin. The cards were originally called carte de triomphe. Around 1530 the word tarocchi began to be used to differentiate them from a new game of triumphs that was in vogue at the time. The etymology of this new word is unknown. The German variant was known as tarot and the French tarot. The symbolism for the tarot is drawn from the culture of medieval and Renaissance Europe. The tarot subjects are distinctive to European Christendom. The symbolism does not come from Egypt or any of the other exotic locales often mentioned. It is often stated that modern-day playing cards evolved from the tarot. This is not the case. Modern-day playing cards came to Europe courtesy of Islam. They were an adaptation of the Islamic Mamluk cards. They appeared quite suddenly in many different European cities between 1375 and 1378. These early cards had suits of cups, swords, coins, and polo sticks, and courts consisting of a king and 2 male underlings. The tarot adds the Fool, the trumps, and a set of queens to this system. Sometime before 1480, the French introduced cards with the now familiar suits of hearts, clubs, spades, and diamonds. The Joker is not original to either the early form of modern-day cards, or to the tarot, but instead originated in the USA around 1857 and was used as a wild card in poker as well as the highest trump in euchre. It is also often stated that the Catholic and Protestant churches outlawed the tarot and all who used it in an effort to stamp out so-called heretical teachings. This is not the case. The Inquisition documented what the Church considered as evidence of heresy in great detail. The tarot was not even mentioned. After the Reformation, less controversial images for the Pope and Papess were substituted by card makers as the Church had objected to the original images. It is often said that the tarot was not used as a divination tool prior to 1781. The tarot was used as early as the 16th century to compose poems describing personality characteristics. There is historical evidence that in one case at least these verses were presented as relating to the person's fate. In other words, divination. Divinatory meanings were assigned to the tarot in Bologna in the early 1700s, and this is the first unambiguous evidence of tarot divination. Ordinary playing cards were connected with divination as early as 1487. It is not unreasonable to think that the tarot was also. The tarot has often been attributed with being a pillar of Western esoterica occultism. This is certainly not the case. The first occult writers to discuss the tarot were Court de Gabellin and the Comte de Melot in 1781. The tarot was not mentioned in any occult work for the first 350 years of its existence. The terms Major Arcana, Minor Arcana, High Priestess, and Hierophant are anachronistic when referring to the older tarot decks. The historically appropriate terms are the Trumps and the Fool, the suit cards, Papess or Popess, and Pope. Likewise, Pentacles and Wands are relatively recent substitutions for the traditional suit names of coins and staves or batons. The original Italian titles of the cards were in some cases different from the later French titles that have become familiar to us through the Tarot de Marseille and its descendants. Also, the ordering of the trumps varied considerably in Italy where the cards originated. It is not known which ordering is the earliest one. Even the number of cards in the deck varied a great deal. So care should be used in making statements about the original meaning of the cards based on the familiar titles and ordering. Many believe that the Waite-Smith Tarot is the original, standard, or most authentic tarot deck in existence. This is absolutely untrue. The Waite-Smith/Rider-Waite deck was created in 1909, not even 100 years ago, making it a relative newcomer in the almost 600-year history of the tarot. There is actually no definitive version of the tarot.